According to the new book, this is HR strategy chapter number 16, and according to the old book, this is chapter number 13. Acha, in this particular topic, we discuss about the hard HRM, we discuss about the soft HRM. हम देखेंगे कि human resources when they are hard and when they are soft, and what is the concept and what do you understand by this element. सेकेंड, इसके बाद देखेंगे एम्प्लॉयमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स को डिटेल में, एंड ऑल ऑफ द टाइप्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स विल बी डिस्कस्ड इन डिटेल, फुल टाइम, पार्ट टाइम, टेम्परेरी, परमानेंट, etc. Third topic which we have to discuss in this chapter is the measuring and monitoring the employee performance. So how would you measure the employee performance and how would you monitor the employee performance? Or fourth element, one of the most important, that is the MBO, मैनेजमेंट बाय ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. इसको आपने कुछ ना कहीं एएस लेवल्स पर भी डिस्कस किया होगा, बट वी आर गोइंग टू गेट अ डीपर डाइव इनटू द मैनेजमेंट बाय ऑब्जेक्टिव in this particular chapter. As we say before starting the chapter that the topic of strategy is the most important topics because it is mainly the part of the paper 4 in Cambridge A2 levels and mainly the part of paper 3 as well whenever the question asks you about developing a strategy. So इस chapter को you cannot ignore, that is the most important element. So चलते हैं जरा first element पे. The first element is the hard HRM versus the soft HRM approach. So have a look. What is hard HRM? Hard HRM is when we are viewing the employees as a resource like the machines and raw materials. So hard HRM में हम अपने employees को क्या देख रहे हैं? As a resource like the machines and the raw materials. So अगर जरा recall करें about the motivational theories. हमने motivational theories में सबसे पहली motivational theory पढ़ी थी जिसके ऊपर ये criticism हुआ था कि you are making men a machine. The theory of Taylor. So Taylor की theory में यही तो problem था कि Taylor was talking about the output being generated by the people, लेकिन वो कहीं से employee well-being की बात नहीं कर रहा था. That is why we started seeing the next motivational theories looking for those perspectives as well, like Mayo, like Maslow. So hard HRM भी यही है कि hard HRM is kind of an outdated approach, kind of an autocratic approach, kind of a Taylor approach, जिसमें we are viewing employees as a resource. The employee which is producing more is a good employee, and the employee which is producing less is a bad employee. That is the basic element of the hard HRM. Second, managing staff with focus on cutting costs as much as possible. Focus कहाँ है? Cost cutting measures पर. For example, think about an organization. An organization जहाँ पर when an employee is working and employee is coming like 2 minutes late, the half day of the salary is deducted. Employee is leaving 2 minutes early, half day of the salary is deducted. Employee is taking an off on weekend, before the weekend, like if Saturday and Sunday is off and you are taking an off on Friday, it is counted as 3 leaves rather than 1. And it is called as so-called sandwich. So this is one-sided sandwich. But the organizations claim it's a sandwich. And they try to deduct the salary of 3 days or subtract 3 days of leave from your record. So the focus is on cutting costs. So the management, the HR, the human resources, whenever there is a mistake of an employee, they do not like focus on improving the quality of the production by giving them the trainings or helping them out and sorting out the problems. They just cut the cost. So it's hard HRM, as the name says, it's going to be an approach जहाँ पर every day they are going to work on cost cutting measures. बस किसी तरीके से cost cut हो जाए ताकि we can generate higher profits. We don't say that cost cutting is a bad thing. Cost cutting is a good thing. It is increasing the efficiency of the business, but there should be a limit to that. A cost cutting has to be at a certain limit जहां पर आपका एम्प्लॉय डिसअपॉइंट होना शुरू ना हो, जहां डीमोटिवेट होना शुरू ना हो. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू आर कटिंग द कॉस्ट ऑन प्रोवाइडिंग द सेफ्टी इक्विपमेंट टू द एम्प्लॉय. अब इट कैन बी एक्टिंग एज अ डीमोटिवेटर अकॉर्डिंग टू द हर्सबर्ग. सो कटिंग कॉस्ट की एक लिमिट है, as long as you are not demotivating the employee, as long as you are not becoming autocritic a lot. Third, minimal training and development of the employee, less retention. So hard HRM ये believe करता है in replacement of the employee. If employee is unable to do the new task या upgraded task, simply fire the employee, get the new one who can do that task. For example, you have upgraded the machinery in your organization. Previous machines where the worker was working well, but with the new machines the worker is not very well versed. So you have got two options: either to give the training to that person and retain that person in your organization, and opposite is fire that person and find out something who already know that stuff from the market. Hard HRM believes in the second one, that replacing the employees. It never believes in retaining the employees, kind of an autocracy, and then applies the Taylor money machines and the McGregor's theory X approach. So in simple words, autocratic, output based element. And by offering temporary, part-time job offers or the peripheral workers. So since the cost cutting is the focus, so normally you will see the temporary employees, part-time employees working over there in such organizations. Permanent employees आपको कम नजर आएंगे in such organizations. अगर होंगे भी तो they will be highly demotivated most of the times. Now what is the disadvantage if any organization is following a hard HRM approach? Go through 4 points and let me know if there is any disadvantage which requires a discussion out of these 4. So the first point was saves cost in the short run by may increase the induction or training cost in the long run. So short run में you might be saving the cost because you are saving the cost of training of an employee, but may increase the induction and training cost in the long run. What do you mean by that? कि obviously when you are replacing an employee there is a cost of induction, there is a cost of hiring, that would be higher. आपने एक तरफ से training cost तो बचा ली, लेकिन alternatively you will still have to induct the person. Or when you are inducting a person and you are placing that person over the new machine and वो नया आदमी भी efficiently machine पे काम ना कर सका, then what? In that case you will have to again train that person as well. अब ये तो नहीं है कि hit and trial method चल रहा है कि you keep on hiring again and again. Obviously if second person which is hired or any person which is available in the market is not that good, so you will still have to hire a person and train that person. So longer run पे भी there is going to be a cost of induction, या sometime cost of induction plus cost of training for the new employee would be there. Second, a demotivated workers will always be less productive and less efficiency for the firm. So when your organization is believing in firing the employees whenever they are not required, that means there is not going to be a good relation between the employee and the management. There would be a job insecurity. So in that case the workers will be demotivated, and when workers are demotivated they are less productive, and that means efficiency is not achieved. Third, bad publicity due to the insecure employment contracts and the pressure groups. So normally these organizations will not give you the secure contracts. So what are the secure contracts? Secure contract is like giving you a contract for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years and telling you that no one is going to fire you unless you are doing something wrong. That is a permanent long-term contract. But such organizations which believe in hard HRM, they know that as soon as there is going to be a new thing in the market, a new technology in the market, nobody knows that when the new technology will come into the market. So we may not be retaining the person anymore. So that is why they never give you a contract of the long term. They will mention this, they will never mention such clauses that you are hired for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. They will say that you are hired on the ad hoc basis, that as soon as we require an alternative, we will hire that. You are kind of a temporary person with us. And it temporary may go beyond like 5-6 years, but there's not going to be any job security in the employment contract. So it is called as insecure employment contract, the contract where no job security is given. And that leads towards pressure groups. Always when there is no security in an organization, the pressure groups will form. Employees will join their hands together and will ask the management to give them the secured employment contracts. The contracts where at least their job security is achieved, especially the people who are focusing on the second level of Maslow, job safety. Those people will be looking for that. Third, ignores the Maslow job security element. That's what we have discussed. Mayo's involvement element, that employees must be involved in the decision making process. Whenever we are making a big decision, involve the employees. You are just making the changes in an organization and firing the employees. So before firing the employee, why don't you discuss the matter with them, and if they are ready to get the trainings, why not? And then you are ignoring the element of Herzberg's motivator element as well. You are actually demotivating the employees, not motivating them anymore. Now, if hard HRM is so bad as we're seeing over there, do you think it should be workable, or it is still working in the organizations? Any idea? So normally in the developing countries, we see a hard HRM is being implemented, just like an autocracy is working. Autocratic style of leadership is working in developing countries because people do not work without the supervision. Similarly, hard HRM is working in such countries where people do not work without such supervisions. They need autocracy. So hard HRM has been there in the developing countries. Where the people are not trained enough, mature enough, hard HRM works. But the opposite approach is the soft HRM approach. What is soft HRM? It is exactly the opposite of the previous one. Let's go through it quickly. Employees are an asset now. They are intellectual capital to the business, and they must be cared for. Employees are not the machines. They are the intellectual capitals. They are the brain of the business. They must be catered. They must be retained in an organization. Managing staff with focus on training and development. Since we believe in retention of the employee in soft HRM, if we find a gap in the employee, we train them and bridge that gap. We are a problem solver, not a replacer at this point. Hard HRM believe that if there is a gap in an employee, replace that employee. Find out the one which don't have the gap. But the soft HRM believes that if there is a gap in employee, sit, discuss, and find out the solution. If training is required, train that employee so that the employee start working with you in the longer run. By helping them to reach their maximum potential, motivated, and be loyal to the community. So soft HRM believes that the employees must be motivated and we must get the maximum potential out of them. So we care about the employees. We believe in the creativity over there. Then applies the McGregor's theory why and follows the Maslow's, Mayo's, and Herberg's findings, which was not been done in the previous part. Extensive techniques to give employee power through delegation and empowerment. So soft HRM believes in employee empowerment. Try to recall what is employee empowerment. Try to make a decisions before after discussing with the employees. So when decisions are made, it is made after the discussion with the employees. Employees are more empowered. It is kind of a democratic approach. Extensive techniques to give employee power through delegation. Let them decide how they want to do the work. Kind of a laissez-faire. Give them the tasks, give them the targets, and that's it. Let them do at their own pace, at their own style. And such type of soft HRMs offers the permanent contracts, and normally the core workers are dealt through the soft HRM approach. We will see that who are the core and who are the peripheral workers in the next slides, but normally the core workers are dealt through the soft HRM approach. The workers which are important for the organization, which are holding the important positions in the organizations, they are normally dealt through soft HRM approaches. But again, if you are soft, the cost is going to be increased due to the training and by offering employee flexibility. When you are like catering to the tantrums of the employee, obviously the cost of the business will increase. Time consumption in consultation with the employees. You keep on discussing the elements with the employees, just like the problem with the democracy, the time would be wasted. Management heavily relies on employees' loyalty with an organization. When you are delegating the task to the employee, you are relying on the employee. That means if the employee is not loyal, that may hamper the overall efficiency and the output of the business. Over there, the employees should be loyal, the employees should be creative, the employees should be self-managed. If it is not the case, soft HRM is not going to work out, exactly like जैसे democracy is not going to work out with the non-creative people. Right? So soft HRM is the approach which is used with the creative people, the mature people in the organizations. The next element we are going to discuss is the employment contracts and the types of the contracts. So we will be going through that quickly. First type of employment contract is called as a full-time or permanent employment contract. So who is a full-time and who is a part-time? We have already discussed that any person who is working for 40 plus hours a week on average, and it varies from country to country. So on average, you can say any person who is working for 36 to 40 hours a week is called as a permanent employee. Whether the person is working in the morning, in the evening, at the night, whatever the time is, if the number of hours a person is working is approximately 36 to 40 in a week, that person is considered as a full-time employee of an organization. Who is the part-timer? The person who is working approximately less than 30 to 34 hours a week is called as a part-time employee. Such employees are not given a paid time off and annual paid vacations. The full-timers are having the annual paid vacations. The part-timers don't have it. For example, in some certain organizations in Pakistan, we have got annual paid leaves that ranges from 15 to 24 per year. That you can take 15 to 24 leaves as and when you want it, and it would be paid. No deduction in the salary will be made. But if you are taking a leave of more than 15 days, suppose, it would be considered as an absent or the salary would be deducted. If you are a hard HRM, that means you are going to use the sandwich approach. Like if you are taking a day off on Friday, Saturday and Sunday will be considered a day off as well. So this is 3 leaves, not 1. Hard HRM believe in that. But the soft HRM believes in if you're taking a day off on Friday and coming back on Monday, that means it's a 1 day off, technically, not 3. So if the organization is off for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, so what's the point of reduction for 3 days? So, but the hard HRM approach, businesses, they call it one-sided sandwich as a deduction as well. Then the temporary employment contract. So what is temporary? A contract lasting for a limited time period. For example, a contract given to an employee for 4 months. A substitute employee. In the education sector, normally a substitute teacher is hired. For example, a teacher has gone for a leave, Umrah leave, or marriage leave, or ex-Pakistan leave. So such leaves, which is going to be of more than like 1 month approximately or 40 days, during that time the organization hires a substitute teacher, that is called as a temporary contract. So a contract which lasts for less than a year normally is called as a temporary employment contract. For some point of time we need the person. Then we have got flexi time contract. What is flexi? Flexible. Flexi time contract means calling up the employees and most convenient time of the day, that is the busiest. So convenient doesn't mean that if it is convenient for you to come at late night 12 o'clock, that means it's convenient. No, convenient for the business. Convenient means when the business requires. So flexi time contract is when business requires you more, it asks you to come at that point more rather than the off days or off timings. So flexi time contract give the flexibility to the workers that yes, if they want to come, they should be there in the busy hours mainly, but on the alternative they can adjust themselves. For example, the busy hour for a restaurant is during the dinner and during the night, but in the mornings they are not busy enough. If that is the case, you can say yes, you are going to work for 8 hours a day, so if you want to delay that, you can come at dinner time, you can come at lunch time, and it depends on you. If you are coming at lunch, work for 8 hours, and by the end of dinner you can leave. If you're coming at dinner time, okay, come in at dinner time and then work late night with us. So it's kind of a flexibility given to an employee as well. But it's not going to be yes, you can come in at breakfast time, because at that point we don't have any customers with us. You cannot say that. So convenient means convenient for both the parties. When the employee is required in 2 or more than 2 slots, you give the flexibility to the employee that you can come in any slot you want. Then we have got 0 hour contract. What is 0 hour? Workers are called in as and when they are desired. No minimal working hour insurance. 0 hour means that we will call you up as and when you are required. It is not necessary you are going to be called up. So on demand basis. So that is why there is zero assurance of the job in 0 hour contracts. Then teleworking. What is teleworking contract? A teleworking means a work from home contract. So many of the employees today are hired, especially in the software houses, they are hired online. So people are working cross countries, cross cultures through the teleworking contracts. That you are supposed to be online during a certain timings. You are given the task during those times, you have to complete those tasks, and once the time is up, you can sign off. So this is the teleworking modern IT channel contracts. Then the outsourcing, the last thing. What is outsourcing? Using an outside agency to carry out the non-core function of the business. So outsourcing is not exactly a contract given to an employee, but it's a contract given to an agency or some other business. That is called as outsourcing. We're going to discuss that in detail. So any questions so far related to any of the employment contract which we have gone through? Next is, why do company outsource? So outsource we're going to get in detail. That normally, so this was basically a research done from the managers, and most of the managers believe that we are outsourcing in order to reduce the cost or to focus on the core business. It's not the part of your syllabus, but just give you an idea that why do actually companies outsource their businesses, outsource their operations. For example, advertisement, social media management, HR, hiring and firing. So these things are normally outsourced to the third parties or other businesses. Why? Because it is purely economical for us to outsource, because we are going to incur less cost against paying the salaries to the employees and managing them. So these are the main reasons why they believe that we actually outsource the companies. Coming towards the employment contracts, like what is the advantage of a business if there is a flexibility in employment contract, and what is the disadvantage for the business? So let's have a look at the first advantage. The first advantage is reduced overhead costs by calling in employees as and when they are desired. Now the technical word over here is the overhead costs. What is overhead costs? The fixed costs, like the cost of a cost of an electricity, the cost of a building, etc. So if the employee is not called up, When they are not desired, that means the company is also saving the money. Think about the COVID era. The schools were off. They were taking the online classes. If the whole building is shut down and the classes are taken from home, what would be the cost of electricity during those months? Minimal. Because nobody is there in the classrooms, nobody is like turning on the ACs, nobody is turning on the lights. That means the electricity cost is going to be saved a lot. So if you are calling up an employee as and when they are desired, you are going to save such costs, which are called as the overhead costs. And it would work more in the areas where the company, if the company is located in the expensive regions where the rentals are high. So such companies try to manage the employees by dividing them into different groups, different teams of different timings, and they call them up in different timings so that they can manage more employees in lesser spaces. Second, additional options in case some employees are absent or the health issues. So if there's a flexibility in an employment contract, that means what? There are additional options available. Especially when one employee is absent and you are working on the flexi time contract, you can call up the alternative employee if alternative is also available. Suppose the alternative employee comes at 9 p.m. but one of the employee has gone for leave. You can call this person and ask them, if you are available, you can come earlier at 7 p.m. so that you can leave earlier at before 2 hours than your closing time. If the person wants that again, it is going to be convenient for both of the business and the parties. So additional options are mostly available if you are getting flexible. But suppose if you're not getting flexible, then what? Suppose you're calling up all of the employees at 9 a.m. and closing at 5 p.m. You don't have any alternative because there is no other option. If one is off, that means you don't have any alternative available. But if it's a flexi time, some are coming at 9, some are coming at 3, some are coming at alternative times. So you can ask somebody to like come early. You can ask somebody to come a little late today. So that is flexibility that works for the business as well. Third one is staff can be analyzed before they are offered a full-time contracts. So have a look at this point. Staff can be analyzed before they are offered a full-time contracts. So we'll sometimes hire the employee for a part-timers, see their performance. If we feel they are good, we keep them. If we feel like they are not good, we do not offer them the full-time contracts. For example, you hire a person on a temporary contract of 2 months and observe their performance in 2 months. If they're working good, if they're loyal, if they're hardworking, if they're focused, if they're skillful, offer a permanent contract to them after 2 months. If they are not, leave them. It's going to be easier for the business because they will be saving themselves against the unfair dismissal. But if they have hired that person for the full time, in that case, unfair dismissal claim could have been made. Fourth element, have a look at the fourth point. Try to understand it by yourself first. As we have said earlier, that if you're working from home, it reduces the cost of acquiring and maintaining the large buildings. We don't require those huge buildings anymore because people are working from home. So we can have a small office, and that small office can be called as a head office. That head office can manage the people around the globe. Then the 0-hour contracts. So have a look at the point. What are the 0-hour contracts? It helps business with the greater seasonal variations like hotels, tourism companies, wedding planners. So such businesses which are working for 3-4 months only in a year. Think about the hotels in the northern region. They are hardly working for like 4 to 6 months. So if they are working for 4 to 6 months, what about the rest of the 6 and 8 months? So they can offer the 0-hour contract to their employees. When you are required, we'll call you up. If you're not required, we won't. At least we are saving the cost for the business. But yes, that there would be a disadvantage. That the people who are coming for the 0 hour contracts are applying for the 0 hour contracts, they might be applying for alternative as well. So in the peak season, you may not find these people, because in the peak season, every company would be asking them to join, and they would be joining those companies who are caring for them in the bad times. So they may not be available for you anymore. Disadvantages to the business, quickly: lack of effective communication, difficult to hold meetings with all at once due to the flexi time. Obviously, you cannot hold the meetings. One is coming at 11 a.m., other is coming at 3 p.m. All of them cannot be joined together. Second, part-time workers are less involved, less teamwork, lack of motivation and loyalty for the business. Permanent employees are more loyal to the organization. Part-timers are less loyal to the organization. That is always the case. Then the overhead cost may also increase, workers working in different timings. So sometimes you are saving the cost, but other times you may increase the cost, because if you are flexi time, some of them are coming at morning, some of them are coming at late nights. So your office is working for 24 hours, more or less. Blurs the effectiveness of corporate and departmental objectives. So this is an important point. Listen carefully. So blurs the effectiveness of corporate and departmental objective. What do you mean by that? That corporate objective, that is the business objective, and departmental objective, department-wise objective, it's no more effective. Department objectives are effective when the people are working full-time in the certain departments, and so that they can affiliate themselves with the departments, they develop a loyalty with those departments. But what if the person is coming different timings? What would be the affiliation with that department? If there is no affiliation, there is no effectiveness in the objectives or the bond between the top management and the employee. So if there isn't any bond between the top management and a part-timer, how can they be working on the objectives of the business? Because the part-timer cares about the money, they don't care about the loyalty. Employees may have 0 hour contracts with more than one employee. That's what we have already discussed. Leads to unavailability in the peak times. So if you're offering 0 hours, that means the person will not be able to earn for many months. Do you think a person is going to wait for you for the whole year? Obviously not. So they might be going for an alternative permanent job, which is at least giving them a less salary, but a fixed salary at the end of each month. So 0 hour doesn't work practically much, especially when the person has got the alternatives, right? So in that case, there won't be any job security for the employees, so therefore they will go for the alternative organizations which are offering them such. So this is basically the end of the employment contracts, but let's quickly go through the advantages for the employees and disadvantages before closing it. So for the employees, when we're working in diverse teams, that means choice of selection for the employees is increased. So an employee can come in the mornings, employee can come in the evenings, whenever they want it. The choices are increased for the employees. Ideal for working parents and elderly people, especially the working parents, those who have to take care about their families. One of the parent work in the morning, one of the parent work in the evenings, so that they can adjust themselves. So if flexibility is there, both of the parents can adjust their jobs, because they have to give time to their children as well. And also the elderly people who cannot wake up early in the morning, or in the extreme weather conditions, they cannot come early or they cannot go late, so they can adjust their timings accordingly. Improved work-life balance for those who can manage it effectively. So if you want to work less, you will go for a contract of less than 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours. You can go for the part-time contract, work for 3-4 hours, come back home, that's it. It's a work-life balance for you. And then increase motivation and less tiredness, because you're working at your own pace, at your own style, at your own time. You're less tired, you're more motivated. But there are some disadvantages: less payments and perks against the full-time workers. Part-timers are always paid less. Now you have to give me the solution. If they are paid less, why would say that the part-timers are still an attractive option? Financially they are paid less, but the people who doesn't require that much money, they can have a work-life balance as an opportunity cost. Alternatively, the people can work in multiple businesses. They can join more than one companies, and the collective earning they are going to get from all would be far higher than the individual who is getting one. Let me give you an example for that. For example, a person who is working in one school or college is earning 100,000 a month as a permanent employee. How much time that person gives to the organization? Let's talk about any teacher. The schools open at 8, close at 3 o'clock. That means all of these hours has to be given to the company as a full-time worker. Then they may allocate you the task after 3 o'clock as well sometimes. Alternatively, a person who is going to the schools and colleges as a part-timer, as a visiting faculty, they are going to have like approximately, suppose 60 to 70,000 rupees for 2 hours. So yes, they are earning less. But what about if they join 2 or 3 organizations? The total earning would be far higher than the earning of this permanent employee. And that's what it is. We being the part-timers earn far greater than the permanent employees. So yes, in one organization there would be less payments and perks against the full-timers, but jointly it would be more. And that's what we always give the solution. Employment rights are becoming nearly same as the full-time in many countries. So with the passage of time, the part-timers are also getting the same as the full-timers. With the passage of time, it feels like you are not the part of the team. Sometimes, yes, you are working less in an organization, you are not loyal enough with them, so you are not the part of them. Less training and promotion options, so you are not given the training, you are not giving the paid time offs, you are not giving the paid leaves since you are the part-timers. So obviously there is going to be an opportunity cost which you will have to bear. So that is it for the day. Tomorrow we will be resuming from this particular point of working in the shifts. So I would request you to go through these notes by yourself once again. See if there is anything that requires a discussion, even the future notes like the next slides, working in shifts and onwards. And if there is anything that requires a discussion, just pinpoint that, and tomorrow inshallah we'll be closing out this particular topic and then we'll be moving ahead with the exam stylers inshallah. So thank you very much for your time. Inshallah we'll catch up tomorrow with the next slides.